I welcome everyone. My name is Joan Spurl. I'm Director of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library at the Literacy Cooperative in Cuyahoga County. We're the affiliate that manages the program in Cuyahoga County, where we have 38,000 children enrolled, receiving a free high-quality book mailed to your home every month. If you are on and you are not, if you are a family with children under age 5, and your child isn't enrolled yet, please get them enrolled. We can put the link for that in our chat, but you can also just go to literacycooperative.org and sign up there. We are so happy to be able to present this program today. For many of probably our Imagination Library graduates, we hope will take advantage of this, who've turned 5 and either are starting their kindergarten year or will be. This program is going to be helpful whether your child is in preschool now or in kindergarten. But we know we would have, if I'd been thinking properly, I would have done this a couple months ago about kindergarten readiness and helping you with that transition a couple months in advance. But it's never too late to get more tips for a successful kindergarten year and to learn about what our wonderful organization Starting Point has to offer families, children of all ages. Starting Point is the childcare resource and referral agency for our county and others in the area. And they do so much of value, including out of school time activities. They can share, be a resource to families for that, and high quality childcare and preschool. Really helpful resource, and help us ensure that we have caregivers who are getting well trained and supported. So thank you. And we have a wonderful expert from Starting Point with us today, Jasmine Price, who has expertise in this area, works for Starting Point, and is going to tell you more about herself. I know at some point I'm going to be calling her Dr. Jasmine Price before long because she's pursuing her doctorate. But we're really grateful to have you on. I'm gonna go off camera and mute myself in a moment and let Jasmine start. And then she's gonna do a presentation, and then we've allowed time for Q&A, and I will help with Q&A when that time comes along. And I might pop in every once in a while. I forgot to mention, I taught kindergarten for 10 years in the Chicago area, and I taught Head Start and state pre-kindergarten as well in the Chicago Public Schools. So this is sort of I love this age group and the kindergarten year. So we want it to go well for all of your families. Anyway, we will put things in the chat that we think might be helpful. And again, I'll help with Q&A. So Jasmine, thanks again. Please go ahead.
All right, if you allow me just a couple seconds, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and then we'll get started. All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to be here and to be able to talk to you about the transition to kindergarten. And so I just have a couple things that we'll go over today, and here's just a breakdown of our time together. So we'll go over a quick introduction, even though Joan did a great job of kind of telling you about Starting Point and about me, but I have a little bit more information for you, some information about Starting Point. We'll dive into some information about the transition to kindergarten, and then, as Joan mentioned before, we'll have some time for a Q&A afterwards. So a little bit about me. My name, as you know, is Jasmine Price, and I work for Starting Point as a regional resource coordinator within the UPK program. And so a little bit about what I do is I assist sites with being able to find resources for their families and whatever they need within the Universal Pre-Kindergarten program. And also a big part of our position is actually to work with kindergarten transitions and being able to assist not only sites, but within the community as we put on our March into Kindergarten campaign every year. All right, so I'm going to take some time to tell you some about Starting Point. So as Joan mentioned, Starting Point is a resource and referral childcare agency. And so we prepare children and youth for a lifetime of success by building the capacity of professionals to provide high quality care and education, connecting families to those services, and advocating for systems change. And so here's a little bit about our vision and values. So our vision is that children and youth are prepared for success in education and beyond. And so our values are we're equitable. We embrace equity through our organization and its work. We actively seek to change systems and reduce implicit bias. We're passionate about this work. We are passionate and dedicated to our work in the families, professionals, and organizations that we serve. We are collaborative. We prioritize working collaboratively within the organization and with our partners. And so we know that we are stronger together. Excellence, we take pride in the work that we do, and we are experts in our field. And visionary, we are innovators in our field, and our work transforms the lives of families and children. And so here's some information about Starting Point. We connect families to the best care and education programs for their children. We assist providers with innovative ways to improve their skills through professional development, opportunities, and training. We were founded in 1990, and we not only serve Cuyahoga County, but we also serve Ashtabula, Lake, and Geauga counties. Here's some information about services. So as we stated before, we are a resource and referral agency to families in search of childcare, scholarships for children and preschool programs, and we'll talk a little bit about that later today in the presentation. Funding to keep out of school time programs free or low cost to families, and then outreach to individuals interested in foster care or adoption. We also provide coaching, training, and professional development to increase quality of childcare, preschool, and out of school time programs, and then prevention and inclusion programs that support educators working with young children with social and emotional, developmental, or medical needs. And so here's some more information about the services that we provide. So provide data on capacity, vacancy and quality of childcare, providing data on out of school time programs that are happening around us, information and guidance for opening up a child care program, and then consultation and coalition building for initiatives that support education and child development. And so we offer a wide variety of services, and I'll also provide some contact information at the end of our presentation. As you might have more questions for us, please feel free to reach out. We are here to assist and to be service in the community. All right, so let's dive into the transition to kindergarten. So why is this transition important? So we know that a successful transition to kindergarten leads to better long-term outcomes for children and families, including higher ratings of social emotional competence, reduced stress at the beginning of the school year, and an increased likelihood of forming new relationships. We know improved academic growth in kindergarten, including an increased likelihood of reading on grade level by third grade and higher high school graduation rates. And we know that an increase of family involvement over the year is such an important component to this work that we do. And so here are a few important things that I'd like to remember as we begin to talk about the transition to kindergarten. Parents, you play such a vital role in your child's transition, but not just in the transition piece, but also while they are in their whole school experience. And so here's what you can do to continue to be this active and supportive person within your child's life. Be active, be a huge participant in your child's education, form relationships with your child's teachers, get to know who your child is spending time with at school. Make sure you're communicating with them, establishing these relationships as you begin their school career. Try to read everything that comes home from school. Now, I know that might seem like a lot. We get a lot of paperwork that comes through our hands, but the more that you read what's happening in your classrooms and what's happening in your child's classrooms, the more active you can be in their school experience. A huge thing that I want to make sure to mention here too is that attendance matters when thinking about your child's transition to kindergarten, not just kindergarten though, their whole school career. And so some things that you can do to make sure that you are active and involved in your child's attendance is to talk with your child about how important it is for them to attend school. You can communicate your routine to them. You can prepare clothes and materials with your child the night before to be ready for the next school day. You'll hear me say a lot about routines here. So that is actually a huge routine that you can do to work on with your child. And then try to not schedule vacations or time to be absent throughout the school year. And if you are, communicate with your child's teacher so that you can receive any makeup work and your child can stay up to date on the expectations and what's happening. And then once again, and you'll hear this multiple times throughout the presentation, stay connected. So make sure the school has your information, make sure you have their contact information, and make sure that you are fostering this relationship as your child is, getting ready to either transition or is already within their care. Sleep needs for children as we transition into kindergarten is a huge, it's a huge thing to focus on. And so studies have shown that kids who regularly get an adequate amount of sleep have improved attention, behavior, learning, memory, and overall mental and physical health. And we do know that not getting enough sleep can lead to high blood pressure, obesity, and even depression. And so at this age, the recommended amount of sleep for children is about 10 to 13 hours a night. And so some things that you can do to make sure that your child is getting adequate amounts of sleep. You can stop the use of electronics or screens, probably at least a half hour before your child's bedtime. Always limit that caffeine intake so that it's easier for your child to relax as they get ready for the sleep. And then, of course, we know the importance of routine. So setting up a bedtime routine with your child, not just giving them agency to be able to be involved in this process, but making sure that everyone knows what happens when it's time to go to bed and everyone's an active participant is important too. We also know that there's a lot of nutritional needs for young children at this age. So healthy eating in childhood and adolescence is important for proper growth and development and to prevent various health conditions. And so eating a healthy breakfast is associated with improved cognitive function, especially your child's memory. It's reduced absenteeism, it's improved the child's mood. And then we also know that adequate hydration may also improve cognitive function in children and adolescents, which is also so important for your child's learning. So here are some ways to prepare for the transition from home to school for you and your child. Talking through. So whenever you talk about school or gearing up for this transition, or if your child is already in kindergarten, whenever you're talking about their school experience, make sure you talk about school in positive ways. Your positive outlook can help your child so much. Let them know that you're confident in their ability to do well. Let them know that you're supportive. And once again, let them know that you're active in their school experience. Ask your child what she thinks or he thinks school will be like. You may learn that your child understands what to expect, or you may find that they have unrealistic fears or misunderstandings. So listening and being able to talk about school opens up a huge conversation for your child and will make them inevitably feel more comfortable with not only discussing what's happening in school with you as they go on, but also as they transition into a new space, they'll feel more comfortable in that way too. So here are some things within language and literacy that we can focus on. And you'll hear me say this multiple times throughout this presentation, but reading with your child every day is so important as they're continuing to build those language and literacy skills. Practice recognizing upper and lowercase letters. Rhyming words are something that you can focus on with your child, and even beginning to trace some letters with your child. And then practicing having your child write their name is important. They'll have to do that when they transition to kindergarten. So the more practice they have, the better they will be. And so we know that reading together is a huge component and is linked to child success with not only in kindergarten, but in their whole school career. So reading books to your child and talking about the pictures of the story, you could visit your local library. And then we have some of our favorites too. So The King of Kindergarten, Miss Bendergarten Gets Ready for Kindergarten, and then All Are Welcome are some of our favorite kindergarten books. Being able to talk to your child is important, but also being able for a story to open up that conversation. Your child may need to see maybe some children going through this kindergarten process within a story to be able to express how they're feeling. These stories really serve as a huge conversation starter. And so I have a quick video to share with you on why reading together is important.
Reading early on is linked to lots of different positive outcomes for your child. The first step is to create a literacy-rich environment. This means having lots of different books around the home. You can take out many different children's books from your local library, which also helps keep your child interested because there is always a new book to explore. Encourage your child to open a book and flip through the pages on his own. Ask her to guess what the story might be about based on the pictures. Then, read the story to your child. Let him sit where he can read along with you and see the words on the page. Ask him to point out letters that he knows. Partway through the story, stop and ask your child what she thinks might happen next. Another way to help your child learn through reading together is to use the pictures. Ask your child what characters in the pictures are doing on each page. You can also ask about the different sizes of things in the pictures, such as, which is bigger, the horse or the cat? Then, ask your child what each character might be feeling at different points in the story. If characters are mad or sad, ask why they feel that way and what they can do to deal with their anger or their sadness. Remember that you can read stories together much more often than just at bedtime. When you read together during the day, your child can act out the story once you're done reading.
All right, I'm going to get us back to our presentation. But that video just showed some of the important things that why reading together is important and how you can use that to help your child's transition. And so let's get into some social and emotional factors. So making sure that you support your child in learning to manage restroom transitions independently is a great skill to help them work on if they're already in kindergarten or as they get ready. Helping your child practice asking for help if they need it, and then encouraging your child to use emotion words to describe how they're feeling. And then also encouraging independence for your child. And so being able to encourage your child's independence by letting them follow simple directions and by letting them do tasks on their own is so important. As they get ready to go to kindergarten, we see that the independence from preschool to kindergarten is now, it's a huge difference. It's a huge gap. So we need to make sure that we're helping to encourage that independence at home. You can also do that by offering your child choices. And then also, as we talked about before, being able to create routines for your child to not only follow, but to have a part in as they get ready and give them some agency over that so that they can continue to boost their independence as well. So there's some math skills too that you can practice with your child. You can practice identifying numbers. You can practice counting out loud with them, and then practice identifying shapes whenever you're out, whenever you have a book maybe that can help you talk about these things, or just however it comes up. These are some great skills to help practice, because these are definitely skills that they'll be using within not only the kindergarten classroom, but as they continue on in their educational career as well. And so here are some other everyday ways to help your child's transition.
Spending time at home with your child offers lots of great ways for him or her to learn. The best part is that many of these ideas help you get household chores done while also helping your child learn. Sorting items is a great skill for your child to practice. There are many things your child can sort while you do chores together. If you're doing laundry, ask him to sort clothes by color or type, or to even match the socks. You can also ask your child to help clean up her toys, sorting them by size, color, or type, and then putting them away. When you sort together, use words such as a few, and many to describe the different piles. Your child may not be perfect with sorting these items first, but with your patience and help, he can learn math skills that will help him in kindergarten. Playtime at home offers more chances to help your child learn. Playing with stuffed animals, dolls, or action figures gives your child a chance to act out and explore her feelings. This kind of play is also great for helping to develop your child's imagination, thinking skills, and physical abilities. Play helps children learn to interact with others and explore the world around them. Playing with your child is another chance for you to find while helping her learn. One tip to make the most out of play is to ask your child questions while you play. For example, when your child is playing with puzzles, blocks, or Legos, ask questions about why pieces don't fit. Playing is also a great time for your child to do some physical activity. Active play helps keep children healthy, but it can also be a chance to learn. For example, encourage your child to count how many times he can jump in the air. Another idea is to create a color-themed treasure hunt for your child to enjoy.
Great. And so after around the house, we have walking, driving, and taking the bus. So here are some ways that while you're walking, driving, or going through however you use your transportation to get to and from, here's some things that you can do with your child to help prepare them for kindergarten.
Walking, driving, or taking the bus somewhere is a great time to help your child learn. Since you're walking or driving without much else to do, these activities are perfect for talking and bonding with your child. You can talk about your plans for the day or something that happened yesterday. You can also talk about how things made you feel and how you handle those feelings. One example is to say, "When we missed the bus this morning, I was mad. But then I took a deep breath and I remembered that we could take the next bus." Naming and exploring feelings helps your child to learn skills for emotional control, which will help him play better with others and cope when something doesn't go his way. Be sure to give your child plenty of time to ask questions or tell you about a time when she felt the same way. Walking, driving, or taking the bus also gives your child a chance to explore their world. You can encourage their curiosity by asking questions like, "Why do you think all the cars stopped at the light?" Or, "Which goes faster, a bike or a bus?" You can also use this time to play games that help your child learn. For example, ask your child to name all the letters he sees, play I Spy looking for colors, or name shapes of different things he sees out the window. If you see any animals, ask your child what they are and what they sound like. And if you're walking, you can use this time to practice letters in a hands-on way. Grab a twig and ask your child to write letters or numbers in the dirt, snow, or sand. This is also a great chance to go over safety skills. Remind your child to look both ways when crossing the street, to stay close to you, and to not talk to strangers.
All right, and then we just have one more that focuses on how when you are cooking and at mealtime, how that can help with your child's transition to kindergarten as well.
Cooking and eating meals together is a great opportunity to put basic skills for young children into action. One way to start is by including your child in cooking simple meals. You can show him that you have to follow a recipe and ask him to point out letters and numbers he knows. Let your child see you read the recipe and then measure out the ingredients. Talk to your child while you cook and explain to her what you're doing. Ask your child to help with counting ingredients, such as counting each cup of milk added to the recipe. Take turns stirring ingredients with your child, helping him to learn about sharing. The stirring itself will also help your child's motor skills. Eating the meal provides more great opportunities to help your child learn. Begin by counting pieces of food as you put them on your child's plate. Then ask her to count how many bites she takes or how many pieces are left on her plate halfway through the meal. Encourage your child to name the colors of the food he is eating. You can also ask your child to name the shapes of foods and other objects on the table, such as plates and napkins. Another great way to learn during meal times is to compare foods in terms of texture and taste. For example, ask questions like, which food is smooth, yogurt or broccoli? Or can you name the crunchy food we're eating? You can also ask her to rate how much she likes each food. Explain that he can say anything from he doesn't like the food at all to he likes the food a lot, with the food being just okay in the middle. You can also use this time to talk to your child about the different foods you're eating. Explain that there are different food groups and then help your child categorize what you're eating into each food group. Beginning to understand that objects have different properties will encourage your child's curiosity and help your child be ready to keep learning in kindergarten. Meals are also the perfect time to ask your child about what you both did or will do that day. Allow her to ask you questions and tell you her thoughts. Ask your child about what he thinks and how he feels. Explain to her how you felt at different times during the day. Eating and talking together gives you a chance to bond with your child and to help him learn more about words. And naming and talking about feelings helps support healthy behaviors in your child.
All right. All right, I love those videos. As you probably saw in the corner, our March into Kindergarten logo. We'll talk a little bit more about March into Kindergarten in just a little bit, but I love those videos as just a tool to be able to see kind of some everyday ways that you can work on some of these skills with your children and things that you're already doing that will help the transition when your child is ready or if they're already within their kindergarten program. All right, so I know that some families who may have joined us might not be making the transition to kindergarten this year, but it's never too early to begin to think about this transition. And so here are some helpful things that you can think about as you get ready to prepare. As part of our March into Kindergarten campaign, we have a registration timeline here that we hope is useful for families as they begin to take steps towards getting their child registered for kindergarten. And so you'll see here that between March and May, you should be making a list of your schools that you're interested in. You could schedule tours. If you have any questions, this is a great time to get to know not only the staff and the teachers, but to ask questions and to figure out if the school is the right fit for you. You can register with the school after you've made your decisions between June and July, so those summer months. You can continue to talk to your child about school, getting them ready for the transition. You yourself can get excited. Mark the first day of school on your calendar. You can, at this time, check with the school or district for any supplies you might need. In August, make sure that you're verifying that registration piece, that everything that you need is already set. Finalizing those school supplies, and like we said before, continuously talking with your child about school to answer their questions and to be able to help them transition on. This might also be a great time for you to attend an open house for the school. And so one of the biggest things that we always make sure to tell families is that registering for kindergarten early is key. And so by registering early, you can make sure that all of your paperwork is in. You have time to secure your needed records, and we'll talk about what you might need in just a little bit. You can make sure your school is prepared to receive your child. You can make sure you know the staff at the school. You can make sure that you know about the programming. And you know that all about the school policies, the special programs and activities and services that that school might provide too. And so the second tip that we have here too is it's never too early to begin to think about your required documents. And so generally schools ask for your birth certificate, your child's shot records, your proof of residence. And so getting these things together early entails that you already have them when you need them, but then also too, some of these documents, depending on your district or school, might need notarized. And so if you already have them early, you already have them prepared, that gives you the opportunity to get them notarized and get them over to the school. And so another tip that we have here too is to be able to help your child in their transition is to enroll them in a high quality preschool. And so having access to high quality preschool programs is such a great way to help them prepare. We at Starting Point can help you find that care. And in some circumstances, we can help you pay or connect you with resources that can assist you with that care, like Head Start and Universal Pre-Kindergarten, which is UPK, which you heard me talk about a little bit before. And here too at Starting Point, as you know, we put on our March into Kindergarten campaign. And it's one of the most exciting parts for me. I love putting on this campaign. And so we have tons of materials that we provide that will be useful for families that are either within their transition currently or who are looking or thinking about the transition for their child moving forward. So please feel free to follow us on social media to follow this campaign. You can visit our website, and you can even contact us directly if you have any questions or would like to get some of the materials. All right, at this time, I think, Joan, we can open it up for some questions.
Great. Yes, people can put questions in the Q&A section. And I just thought I'd, while we wait for some questions in Q&A, just maybe think a little about how to maybe decrease stress around it. Jasmine was talking about you all want to feel comfortable with this. So we want to de-stress around learning that. And that's why those videos were so great, because it shows how just you can make learning part of your everyday routine, make it fun and joyful, part of your relationship and your daily conversations. So that's how children learn well. So it's by interacting with real people, real objects, messing around with stuff, having fun, reading print books. But if there's any other tips you can think of, Jasmine, for maybe trying to lower the stress levels for children as they're starting.
I think, and as my previous background as a preschool teacher, we did, I think one of the biggest things, as you mentioned, and as I talked about before, it's just constantly talking about this transition piece of allowing children the space to be able to talk about their concerns and their excitement or even maybe some of their fears, I think is an important piece. But then I also think too, the more information that you have about your child's school and where they're going to be transitioning, the more that you can then talk to your child and kind of give them more, information about what they will expect, more concrete information about what they'll see, maybe who their teacher might be, what types of programs they put on at their school. So, and then the more excited you are about their transition, I think the less maybe your child will stress as they're getting ready to gear up for that transition piece.
Great. And let's see, I'm not seeing anything in the Q&A yet. So I did come up with another thing. I don't know about you, Jasmine, but when I was a kindergarten, we just got a question. Oh, good. But when I was a kindergarten teacher, I did, I sent like a questionnaire home with families I wanted to know about their child, what they wanted me to know about their child and about their hopes and dreams for their child. So even if your teacher doesn't ask for that, what do you think of maybe providing that as a way to make that connection?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. The more that the teacher knows about your family, the better. And even if your teacher is not specifically asking for that, I think maybe drafting that up with your child and having your child maybe even reflect on like who your family is, family values, and different things like that. as they, begin to think about, making this big transition. I think having them reflect on that is important, and gives them some agency, and also gives them some talking points, when they go and visit their teachers, or even when they're trying to make friendships and connections with other children at their school, because some anxiety too could come from a child feeling like they don't really know anyone. If no one from maybe their preschool transition with them, or if they didn't go to preschool, or if they, might not know who's in their class and things like that. I think the fear of the unknown for them is sometimes a little bit tricky, but maybe preparing them for some ways to make connections with some of the other children would be great too.
Great. And here's another question. How do we find out about early launch programs for kids who are born right after the cutoff date? Finding a program that helps challenge and prepare them for kindergarten the following year. And I have one thought, but I'll let you go. And then there's another one sort of related. My daughter's 3 and will be 4 in April 2024. Are there any schools that I can get her into to start her off early without it being a daycare? So, great. So we'll take care of the first question, and then maybe I'll repeat that second question. They're not exactly related. Sorry about that.
So,
okay.
No, you're fine. I think that in regards to the first question, we have a lot of access and resources at Starting Point. So if you would like to reach out, we can kind of field your question, and that's what we're here for. We're here to assist. So whatever, supports we think that we can provide you, I think that's a great place to start here. And then in terms of your second question, I think it kind of is related.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to, I had written a note to myself to make sure we let people know about Cleveland Public Library. Has like this an academy for children, and then Cuyahoga County Public Library also has a kindergarten club for those kids who aren't, maybe who are going to be going to kindergarten but are ready for a little stimulation, but maybe aren't in preschool, or still are but get to practice a little, and they have some related videos. Those are. And other libraries, of course, have lots of resources and programming as well. And librarians always want to help you. So,
yes. And we work very closely with the kindergarten clubs and things like that. And so those are a huge resource. Your local library is a huge resource, not only for the kindergarten clubs, as Joan mentioned, but to also maybe check out some of these books, or to connect maybe with some other children who are also going to be making that transition as well.
Great. And so that second question, so are there any schools I can get her, the child who will be 4 in April 2024, to start her off early without it being a childcare, but not a kindergarten, of course. So
I think that's a good question. I think it could also vary by district as well, depending on where you might transition your child moving forward. But that is another question that could, I think we could assist you with at Starting Point to figure out what your needs are and where we can help you transition to.
Yes, Starting Point's a great resource. And then our colleague at Starting Point has put those links that for Cuyahoga County Public Library and Cleveland Public Library in the chat. Cuyahoga County Public Library also has toy lending library. So that's another great resource for borrowing materials, like finding toys that maybe you're not sure you're going to want to own, but lots of ways to engage in different activities, bring something novel into your home that might be a great learning experience for you and your child. And then many of the libraries have like bookable kits, right, Jasmine? Like they have books and then other toys that are related that can promote language and conversation and learning and play. And when children play around something that they've learned about, if they're doing imaginative play that's related, it gets embedded in their brain. So again, those are great resources. Let's see.
And I also think too, great resources for children, but also as you begin to maybe join some of these groups and maybe meet other parents, that's also a great resource for parents too. Because your child is maybe nervous about transitioning and things like that, but you might be nervous or anxious about it too. So it might be helpful for you to connect with other families in that way too that might be going through the same thing.
Yeah, and then Spark, Spark is another program that, and Family Connections has family literacy playrooms, and Cleveland Public Library and Cuyahoga County Public Library now have a few branches that have family space.
Yes.
Other places to meet families. And again, Spark is a home visiting kindergarten readiness program. So
Yes.
Jared, you might want to, let's see, I don't know if Grace or Shannon could put in a link for Family Connections in the chat. We share those regularly in our emails to Imagination Library families. So if you get our emails, you should have gotten information about all of those things before, but we can maybe send them out again and put them on our our resource page. So someone is not within Cuyahoga County, but Lorain County. So starting point, I'm not sure. I think you put it earlier which counties you serve, but there's probably if you're not, are you in Lorain or you're in the other counties?
We're not in Lorain, but we're also, I think a lot of these programs too, like we talked about with like local libraries and things like that, could assist you no matter the county, maybe connecting with them, but also if we can find a resource and if, we can help you, we are always willing to do that work. So I'll be able to put like my email and things in the chat. And so perhaps like that's a quick search for us to be able to assist the family.
And there would be an agency like Starting Point. I'm sure Lorain County has a child care resource and referral agency that you could take advantage of in Lorain as well. And let's see. Oh, and I just wanted to remind people, and I'm hoping maybe Grace can put this. Oh, there you go. It's in the chat. This is why it's great to have Shannon on. Oh, okay. My colleague is having a little difficulty sending some stuff through our chat. Her Wi-Fi is, I think, having some trouble. So I was going to say, when Jasmine had shared information about nutrition and sleep, we have, just like we're recording this program to share later, we recorded a program entirely on like nutrition for building your child's brain and helping them learn. We did one of those programs last year, so it's on our YouTube channel and on our Healthy Families resource page. So we'll share that. Same for sleep. We had Cleveland Clinic sleep expert, Dr. Carla Lipsenberg, did a program about sleep. Oh, there we go. She was able to put it in the chat. The link to all those programs is in the chat, and you can get to it on our website, literacycooperative.org. But lots of valuable information. That sleep program was fantastic, as was the nutrition program. People learned so much. And then we have links to resources at that page too, like if there's any related handouts, just like we'll do today. We'll be sharing some handouts. I was going to share the one from Ohio State, Jasmine, that we learned about today, is something that we were attending. Let me see if there's more questions. Okay, so this one's done. It's done. Any more questions? I have, sorry, I'm talking more, but I have one other like little tip for families. I have so many, and we'll share more maybe through Imagination Library, through our emails as well. But one thing I learned as a kindergarten teacher that really helped children anticipate changes or important things that were happening was to make a paper chain. And you can use paper chains both for learning, like because you can do patterns, colors, counting, but to make paper chains maybe to count down to important events. So like say, a holiday's coming or a special day for your child, you can make a paper chain, not too far in advance, because children, it's hard for them to judge time, but that's why paper chains are helpful, because they make it concrete of how to judge when something's going to happen. So, or when there's a school vacation, you can count down to it, but then you can make another paper chain for how many days you're going to be at home and then back at school. So it's a way to make things concrete. So just one little tip. I'm waiting for more questions. Any more questions, folks? I'm just trying to think from my own experience.
And if you find that you don't have questions right now for the participants that are with us, please feel free to still reach out to us if you think that, think of something later, or if you want to, bounce some ideas off, like please feel free to reach out to us. I have a contact slide here that I can, there we go. And so if you have any questions like following the presentation or anything like that, please feel free to either shoot me an email or you can call us at Starting Point and we will get you to whoever can answer your question.
Right. And yes, and again, just keep those relationship lines open. One thing I started saying to families at the beginning of the school year was to start a healthy, relationship, was to acknowledge that we all have different family histories. We all have different histories and cultures. I wanted families to know that I never would want to do anything that would offend them. But because we all have these different histories and cultures, I might inadvertently do something that offended them. And that if that happened, I wanted them to know that's the opposite of what I want to do. And, but I want them to tell me, because I can't read minds. And if they don't tell me, I don't know, and I can't learn and grow, but I want to learn and grow. So, maybe try to approach the relationship with your school and child's teacher with that same sort of frame of mind, because they might not be saying it outright, but in their hearts, teachers and people go into teaching and educating children not because they want to offend anyone or turn anyone off. They want to be working together. They want to partner. They know it's going to be better to partner. And so they may inadvertently do things that might rub you the wrong way. So you can sort of just say, and things can get so fraught when it's about our children. We can get very, we can get upset if something's not quite right, if we feel like things aren't going quite right. But if we can sort of take a deep breath, know that, assume the best about each other instead of the worst, on both sides, work together, and then try to have a civil conversation, just say, this is concerning me. I have a question about this. I wanted to let you know, when that happened, this is how it impacted me, or how I felt, but I want to move beyond that. So I don't know, just trying to have that open relationship. We got another question. Yay. How do we find scholarships for preschool programs or funding to keep out of school time programs free or low cost for kids? That's a great question. Thank you.
Yep. So the expert actually with us, Shannon, she can probably drop some things within the chat, but we have a ton of resources. And so we actually have people who their job is to help you to find these scholarships and resources and things. And so I'm sure Shannon is going to drop some information in there, but also please contact this number and then we can get you to those folks over on our team who can help you with this.
Yeah, and even if there's programs at the school and like your schedule doesn't permit you to get to them, I think just letting the school or the teacher know, oh my, I wish I could come, but that's not at a great time for me. I was involved in PTA at my school and kind of tried to advocate for us doing things at different times, because some people work one shift, some people work another shift. It's hard to find a time that works for everyone, even when we're planning these programs. It's hard to, that's why we're recording it. But, maybe you can advocate for yourself. and just let them know that you're interested, or there might be things you can do at home for the PTA or the school if you can't get there in person. You know, there's different things to explore. So again, keep those lines of communication open, because there's different ways of showing your engagement with your child's education in school. It doesn't mean that you have to be physically present there all the time. Like Jasmine said, she talked about the communication. So keep that going. Okay, I think we got another question. Say, great call, thank you. I was on the last one also. How often do you have these calls? It sort of depends, but we are trying to do at least one a month this year. We're able to do this thanks to funding from the Mount Sinai Health Foundation. We've been doing this Healthy Family series, and I know kindergarten, the tips for a kindergarten year might not relate specifically to health, but it does. You know, like giving you guys tips for how to make it a successful year is related. So next week we're doing one on lead 101 with the Lead Resource Coalition. They will be sharing information that's important about lead poisoning, what you need to know if you have concerns. So if you live in an older home, that's an important topic. And then we will be doing more. And again, we have these recorded on the page that my colleague shared earlier. So you can watch the ones previously that we did previously at your convenience. And we're going to be doing one on behavior basics is going to be coming up hopefully in a few weeks. We're going to do one on healthy homes with Kim Foreman of Environmental Health Watch, a healthy homes program, to know about how to keep your home healthy for your child. There's lots of things that might be out there that you don't know about, ways for you to make your home a healthier place for your child's physical health. And then, we'll be doing more on behavior tips, and there's a bunch coming. So, and even on mental health and things like that. So let's see, I answered that one. And if you have suggestions, again, we put a link to a survey in the chat. So we would love for you to put information in there, let us know how this was helpful, but also suggestions for future topics, future programs you'd like to see. And we'll put this on our Healthy Families resource page on our website. There'll be links to any related handouts, the link to Starting Point. And Shannon, if you want to send me like all these different links in an email, we can get them in there. It'll make it easy, unless Grace is saving them all somehow. She probably is, but any other thoughts, Jasmine?
I think one thing that I was thinking about over here is that we have so many great resources surrounding us within our communities. And so I think not just about like kindergarten transition and things like that, but a lot of our community workers work together to be able to provide these resources. And so it's so important to, get out and, connect with these other groups and things like that to receive these resources. And as you were kind of listing off some of the other programs that are going to be happening, I'm just like so excited about the fact that we have access to so many of these things. And so make sure, you attend and get there and connect because there's so many great resources out around us right now.
Right. And try to keep it light and joyful about learning in school. We want children to be self-motivated. We want them to be intrinsically motivated around learning. So if you can sense that your child's tensing up as you're talking about these things, maybe you can step back, and try to just make learning joyful, feed your child's interest and curiosity, build on that. I often did that as a teacher, and often it did help me to know what children's interests specific. So if there were a child that was really interested in machines or vehicles or animals or flowers, or, there's so many things, kids have so many interests, that often was helpful to me, because then I could we could, plan activities sometimes around those things, or I could
Yep.
find a way if a child was struggling with a particular activity. Like, oh, I had a child who really struggled with writing, with fine motor things. And we had like a time every day where they just got to put their ideas on paper, and he'd get very upset. But when I like sort of said, oh, how he was really interested in animals. So I tried to get him just put his ideas around about animals, engage him in a different way. Another child who had issues with writing time, I finally just suggested to their family maybe have an evaluation for, and it turned out because maybe there were issues with his fine motor skills where he could get help from an occupational therapist. That did the trick. And he ended up a year or two later, his mom came back to my classroom to show me these drawings because he was a twin, and his twin was an incredible artist, always drawing. And then the other twin struggled, and she handed me these drawings, and I said, oh, I bet I know which twin did these. You're going to tell me it's the twin who had struggled, but just asking for help when you need it. If you have concerns, ask your pediatrician. Because the earlier you get intervention for challenges, the better. So it's never, I always ask for help. I had to ask for help for my own child over the years, so with different issues. So those are some of my final thoughts, I think.
And that just speaks to why it's so important to build those relationships, get involved, see, who is working within your child's school building. I think those are all important things as you, not just within kindergarten, but as you support your child throughout the rest of their educational career.
Yeah, and the teachers will be happy to also give you tips, like if, they'll want to work with you as a partner. If they don't, then you might want to figure out how to engage them that way, but they should. So I just always ask for help or ask questions if you're not sure. Nothing.
Yes.
They will be happy.
Yeah.
I think, to be engaged like that. So Shannon, thank you so much for everything that you put in the chat for us. Grace, my colleague, thanks for putting things in. Jasmine, thank you so much for putting this presentation together and sharing your expertise. Starting Point, thank you for everything you do every day to ensure quality care for the children in our community. So again, we're putting a survey link in the chat. Grace, can you put that in there one more time? Please fill it out to help us out. And then we will be sharing the recording with people, and then we'll put that on our, it'll be up on our YouTube page. Again, we'll have that, our website will have those linked resources. So take advantage of those, share them with families, share them with friends, share them with families. Take advantage, like Jasmine said, of all these great resources. We have great museums in our community that often have free days or free admission or lower admission sometimes. Just have fun with your child. And try to lighten it up, have fun learning together. If you don't know something, your child is asking about things, say, gee, I have to learn too. Let's learn that together and go explore it together. So, and the more, as Jasmine said earlier, the more a child does something, the better they get at it. It's true for all of us. So give them chances to just practice and maybe mess up, just their writing's going to start out as scribbles and it's going to evolve. So just have fun with it. All right. Thank you once again, everyone, for attending, everyone for participating, and we'll see you next time.